I never imagined that a simple surprise from my wife would turn our peaceful cul-de-sac into a full-on battleground. The morning I brought home her dream, a soft, rose-colored sports coupe with chrome that caught the sunrise, everything changed. As I rolled into my driveway, gravel popping softly under the tires, I spotted our HOA's self-appointed watchdog marching toward me. Her shoulders stiff, her eyes blinking too fast, always a sign she was about to erupt. She pointed at the car like it was contraband. "You can't keep that here," she snapped. For a moment I thought she was joking. But then she stepped closer, breath sharp, face burning with indignation. I realized this wasn't irritation. It was warlording in the chamber. The worst part. I hadn't even handed my wife the keys yet. A gift meant to bring her joy had already turned our street upside down. Life on our street was predictable in the best way. Morning porch coffee. Kids biking past the cedar fence. The lake at the end of the block catching the first shimmer of daylight. My father's old flag moved just enough in the breeze to remind me he once stood on this same porch, watching over the same stretch of neighborhood. My wife and I never tried to outshine anyone. Our home wasn't the fanciest, but it felt like ours, built on years of patience, memories, and quiet routines. She'd always joked about wanting a pink sports car someday, something classy and loud at the same time. So when I found one at a price that didn't make my wallet scream, I jumped. I pictured her laughing, clutching my shoulder, wondering how I managed to pull it off. But before she even saw it, before the engine had time to cool, the HOA's hawk swooped in. Karen, though, in our neighborhood you didn't need to say her name. People just said her with a sigh. She had a habit of treating guidelines like sacred scripture and everyone else like sinners. She inspected lawns with binoculars. She measured paint tones against a laminated sheet. She once argued with an elderly man for 8 straight minutes because he placed his trash can 6 inches too far left. So of course, she saw the pink car as a threat to the neighborhood aesthetic. She stormed toward me, clipboard pressed against her chest like a shield. "This goes against standards. It violates visual harmony," she barked. I took a breath, letting the crisp morning air settle my frustration. But inside I wondered, is she actually trying to confiscate my wife's gift? The thought seemed too absurd even for her. I was wrong. The first warning appeared under the wiper, handwritten in tight, angry loops. "Remove immediately. Non-compliant with visual guidelines." At first I laughed. Then another note came, and another. Soon she began photographing the car, as if documenting a crime scene. The next morning, I heard footsteps on the gravel beside my driveway. I pushed open the screen door, its old hinges whining, and saw Karen jotting something down while circling the car like a crow guarding roadkill. "Is there a problem?" I asked. She didn't look up. "This vehicle is disruptive. It attracts unnecessary attention." "That's called admiration," I replied. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes darted too fast, too nervous, a sign she felt challenged. That afternoon, an official HOA fine landed in my mailbox. $150 for neighborhood disharmony. No rule number, no explanation. I called the HOA office. The receptionist spoke like a pre-recorded message. "We trust the judgment of our board members," she repeated, which was code for "whatever Karen says goes." Internal thought beat. I stood there holding the phone, staring at the lake shimmering behind the houses, wondering how a harmless car could stir such hostility. Within a week, flyers showed up around the neighborhood. "This household refuses to follow community expectations." My wife found one pinned to our mailbox and looked at me with disbelief. Her hand gripped the porch railing so tightly her knuckles turned white. Neighbors grew cautious. Some offered awkward smiles. Others avoided eye contact altogether. I noticed whispers during evening dog walks, soft, uneasy conversations that died when I got close. This wasn't about a car anymore. It's about control, and she wanted to publicly break us. At the next HOA meeting, she marched in with a stack of binders like they were legal weapons. She demanded more fines. She claimed our home was slipping into non-alignment. Every sentence sounded like she practiced in a mirror. My heart pounded. Not from fear, but from disbelief at how far she was willing to push. I gathered every note, every threat, every vague find. I started documenting everything: dates, times, photos. My father always said a man stays calm until he needs to stand. His old mug sat on the porch rail beside me that night, steam rising into the cool air while I prepared, and then came the tipping point. The absurd moment where she crossed into pure delusion. She demanded the car itself be turned over to the HOA. Her reasoning? It undermines neighborhood unity and must be reallocated to a responsible party. Fancy way of saying, give me the car, or I'll bury you in paperwork. My wife's eyes filled with anger I had never seen before. My jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. Internal thought beat. I realized this battle wouldn't end until the truth blew wide open. So I decided to end it at the next meeting permanently. The HOA room buzzed with the usual small-town politics coffee. Breaths shuffling papers, neighbors pretending they weren't afraid of Karen's stare. Karen walked in with her chin up, as if she expected applause. She slapped her binder onto the table, the sound echoing like a challenge. She opened with confidence. This family has repeatedly violated guidelines. I request tripled fines and a mandatory apology. People murmured. Some agreed. Some looked away. Then I stood, calm, steady, certain. I placed a folder on the table. Inside it were photographs of her trespassing, every handwritten threat, recordings of her contradictions notes, showing she fabricated rule numbers, screenshots of her gossiping about families on social media, statements from 4 neighbors who'd also been harassed. Laid everything out, one piece at a time. The room grew cold. Board members shifted in their seats. A man on the board cleared his throat. Some of these claims were never approved, he admitted. A gasp rippled across the room. Karen's face drained of color. Her eyes fluttered fast, frantic, exposed. For the first time since I'd known her, she stepped back instead of forward. I turned to the room. We follow rules, I said calmly, but not one person's invented version of them. A neighbor nodded, then another, then another. The board voted unanimously to void every fine. They also created a new rule: no enforcement without documented evidence, mediation, and board approval. Karen was stripped of her enforcement privileges. Her reign ended not with a scream but with silence. The neighborhood finally exhaled. The next morning, sunlight glowed soft on the hood of the pink car. Kids rode past again, pointing and smiling. My wife set my father's old flag back on its mount, its edges fluttering lightly in the breeze. Peace wasn't just restored, it felt earned. That whole ordeal taught me something I thought I already knew. Strength isn't how loud you speak, it's how firmly you stand. We learned that preparation matters, staying calm matters, letting truth do its own work matters. And sometimes, it takes one stubborn neighbor to show an entire community what fairness really looks like. The pink car stayed, the laughter came back. Evenings felt warm again, the lake shimmered like it used to, and every time I see that car's reflection in the window, I remember a gift meant for joy became the reason we reclaimed our peace. If you enjoy true neighborhood dramas, where justice finally wins, subscribe, ring the bell. You can stay close, because the next HOA showdown is already stirring in the distance. There's always another story on a quiet street.